This video is brought to you by John Robson Guitar Tuition. If you enjoy the content, please consider supporting the channel by enrolling on a course, purchasing some guitar lessons or a t-shirt, or you can join my Patreon. Now, on with the show. Hello chaps, welcome once again to John Robson Guitar Tuition. As always, and especially at the moment, I do hope you're well. Now then, as regular viewers to this channel will know, I am something of a fan of the Vox ToneLab ST amp modeler. It's a fantastic piece of kit. It's years and years old, but I've used it as my main source of guitar tones for the last 8 years or so, and it's never let me down. It sounds fantastic. I love the tones I get out of it, and, you know, why would I want to change that situation? Well, frankly, I don't. But the other day, we had a little bit of what I could only describe as a glitch in the matrix in this house. I was playing away, happy as Larry, whoever Larry is, and suddenly my sound changed from being a good raunchy kind of rock, classic rock lead sound, the sound that you've heard in all my videos basically, to like this kind of reverse, reverb, echo-laden, kind of multi-tap delay, kind of trippy ambient sort of thing. And then back again. And then the lights flickered for a couple of seconds and just went out. There was like a split second of a power cut. You know, one of those power cuts where the light bulb doesn't even get to go properly dim and then it's back on again. And then everything was fine, and it's been fine ever since. And I'm pretty sure that the ToneLab wasn't, you know, the thing that either caused that or was, you know, kind of going glitchy. I think it was just some kind of interruption to the power supply that created some sort of momentary glitch. But nevertheless, it did get me thinking, I don't have a plan B when it comes to, you know, getting my guitar tones. Now, about 10-15 years ago, I did have a go with Amplitube as a software amp simulator and couldn't get on with it at all. It was glitchy and there was latency and there was this kind of horrible stuttery kind of sound to it that no matter what I did with the settings, I couldn't get rid of. So I sort of thought, well, you know what? Maybe I'm a hardware kind of guy rather than a software kind of guy. So I just went back to using the ToneLab. But as they're getting a little bit rare now and difficult to source, you know, you're always looking for a used one if you can get one at all, I thought it was time to maybe take another look at amp simulators as a bit of a backup plan. Now, I have no experience using amp simulators other than that brief toe in the water with Amplitube all those years ago, and I certainly have no experience up to today of using IRs, impulse responses. So this is a bit of a journey of discovery for me. I decided to download the Blue Cat free amp, which a lot of people have said quite a lot of nice things about, and some Redwire's free IRs, a free IR library that they produce. If you're not sure what an IR is, well, as far as I can determine, it's what in the olden days used to be called a cab simulator. You know, basically it simulates the sound of a speaker cabinet and a microphone in a space and gives you that same colour of sound to whatever amp sound you've got. So, I tell you what, I'll stop waffling and I'll let you hear and see how I got on playing around with Blue Cat free amp and some IRs. Okay, here we are in Reaper, and you can see, just to give myself a little bit of a rhythm to play to, I've set up a basic sort of drum track thing, 8 bars of fairly standard rock drums using the MT Power Drum Kit plugin. I've recorded, just as a reference that we're going to use as our yardstick to measure things by, a little rock rhythm guitar part thing using the crunch setting on my ToneLab. And as I say, that's going to be the reference tone that we're going to try and get as close to as we can. And it sounds like this. So if I can get reasonably close to that kind of sound, then I'm going to be happy, to be honest. Let's first of all make sure that we mute the Tone Lab recording that we've already done, and then insert another track. And this is the track where we're going to be testing the ampsim, and the ampsim we're going to be using is called Blue Cat Free Amp. So I'm just going to label that track as Blue Cat. And let's input the ampsim. I'm going to do that just by going into the effects for this track, and there it is there. Those are all of my VST effects. Blue Cat Free Amp. So let's just input that onto the effects of that particular track there, Blue Cat. And there's a bunch of factory presets that I've already had a little bit of a look at in here. And the one that I seem to take to the most was this one, Classic Drive, which, as you can see, gives you a bit of a Marshall-y kind of vibe. Now, what I want to be able to do is hear this in real time. So, first of all, let's arm the track to record, and then I need to switch on record monitoring like that. And now I should be able to play along and hear a bit of a Marshall-y kind of amp tone from that ampsim. Let's see what happens. Okay, so straight out of the tin, that's not a bad approximation of a Marshall sound. In fact, I would say that's a sound I'd be happy to use, to be honest with you. What you can never really convey in a demonstration like this is how the sound feels, how that sort of touch-sensitive thing that goes on between your hands and the frets and the way the notes come out of the speakers. There's a very, very direct link there, and a lot of modelers that I've tried in the past, it feels like you're playing once removed from the sound, but that wasn't the case there with that so far anyway. What I'm going to do now, though, is see if I can improve upon that sound by adding an impulse response, what in the old days used to be called a cab simulator, but it's got a little bit more sophisticated since then. And you can do that very simply in Blue Cat Free Amp. You just click on this little squiggle in the corner here and load impulse response, and I'm going to go with this one here, 1960 G12M25 F SM57, etc, etc. Basically it's just a simulation of a microphone in front of a speaker in a room at a certain distance that will colour the sound in a specific way. Let's hear what it does. And that certainly made things sound quite a lot chunkier to my ears anyway. It really gave it that sort of classic Marshall grunt, really. What I've done so far is I've added a bass part because I want to hear what all of this sounds like in a mix. And I've done my usual mixing technique of duplicating the tracks. So there is the original track that I recorded, that rhythm guitar part, and then I've duplicated the track, added a 35 millisecond delay to this track, and then panned them hard left and hard right. I then did a lead guitar part and did the same thing there. So there's the lead guitar part that I recorded, again using the same preset on the Blue Cat Free Amp. I just wound the gain up a little bit. Let's have a look at that actually. So you can see the drive, I've wound that up a little bit there compared to the setting that we have on this one here. This is the sound I'm using for the rhythm guitar, and as you can see, for the lead guitar, the gain is, or the drive, sorry, is just a couple of notches on the dial higher than that. And that's the only change I made. And then once again, I did that sort of pseudo double tracking thing to pan one left and one right with a little bit of delay on the right hand side one. And let's find out what all of that sounds like in a mix now when you've got bass, drums, double tracked rhythm guitar and double tracked lead part. Let's have a listen. And that's a sound that, you know, I could happily use. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind that as I tweak it and get used to it and have a fool around with it, then I'm going to get a lot closer to the sound that I tend to think of as my sound. But as a starting point, that is pretty close. And, you know, that's something I can, to be honest with you, I can work with that. I could live with that, and I'm going to have a whole lot of fun, you know, figuring out how to work from that sound forward. So there you have it. That wasn't as painful an experience as I imagined it was going to be. Very, very impressed with the sound of that Blue Cat free amp. It's, as I said in that little clip there, it actually feels like you're plugged into an amp, you know, that sort of touch sensitive, you know, kind of feeling that you're actually connected to the notes that are coming out of the speaker, that you get usually with a good amplifier, and that you don't always get even on some amplifiers, you know. So this feels more like playing through an amplifier than some amplifiers I've played through, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, I'm going to have a lot of fun just playing around with this and trying to dial it in and get settings that, you know, are a lot closer, or, you know, as close as possible to the sound that I think of as my sound that's been coming out of the Tone Lab for many a year now. So there you go, folks. I hope you've enjoyed this little journey of discovery with me, and maybe it's encouraged you to investigate a similar kind of route to a good guitar sound yourself. I should have mentioned there, I'm not sure if I did, but all of the software that I use there, that Blue Cat amp is free, a free download, as are the IRs from Redwires, and of course they're linked in the description box below. Also down there is a discount code that you can see on screen now to get yourself a little bit of money knocked off the rather wonderful Fret Zealot tuition aid. Just use the link in the description and the discount code, and you'll get a little bit of money knocked off thanks to me. You're welcome. And that's pretty much all I've got for you today, folks. Hope you found the video informative, entertaining and useful. That's what I'm aiming for anyway. And if you have, please hit the subscribe button and the notification bell if you haven't already done so, and give me a like while you're at it. And don't forget, this Friday we're back on for the 5 p.m. live stream, 5 p.m. UK time. We're going to have a beer and a chat and a laugh and just sit and put the world to rights, because I kind of think it needs it at the moment. And yeah, so I'll look forward to seeing you all there. And with that, I'll bid you all a good day and say thank you so much for your time. Thank you for watching, and I do look forward to seeing you all again next time around. Bye for now, folks. Stay well.